Hello everybody, Blue Smoke Productions here, and welcome back to the Blue Smoke Podcast. This is, depending on when I uploaded this is either the second episode or the fourth episode. The reason why I may move this episode up to the second episode is probably because it has news pertaining to stuff that's happening right now. And if that's not an indicator of what's going on right now, today we're going to be talking about the coronavirus and how it is affecting the railfan industry right now. And it is affecting it bad, guys. Like, there are most if not all the heritage railroads have already put all their operations on hold since this outbreak. I know the Arkansas Railroad Museum has officially closed, which rightfully so, considering the first case, Arkansas's first case of coronavirus was in fact in its home city of Pine Bluff. The Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad shut down its operations. The Tennessee Valley Railroad looked like it was going to go for a while. Like, it looked like it was going to run limited operations. As a matter of fact, I think 4501 was actually supposed to pull its first excursion to Somerville today at the time I'm recording this. But I guess that didn't happen because literally a few hours after Tennessee Valley Railroad announced that they would still be doing the Somerville train with 4501, and the day after they completed shakedown runs on the engine, it looked like everything was going to go ahead. But a few hours later, Tennessee Valley Railroad announced that they were suspending all operations. And I think mostly the reason why this was done was because the Somerville depot closed on them. So they had nowhere to drop the train off. But I do get the point here, it is to be safe. A lot of people are complaining about how the coronavirus is very, overblown, it's overrated, the government's making a big deal over nothing. But no, this is not nothing. This is serious. Yes, it probably will be taken care of in a few weeks. I know President Trump is working as hard as he can, but we're not going to get political on this podcast. But this is not nothing. Schools have been canceled for at least 2 weeks in my state, which is Georgia, because of one death related to the coronavirus, and that death was a 65-year-old man. It was an older man, but this is definitely, if anything, it's more to protect the teachers. But the good thing is my mother is a teacher, so she will be safe, hopefully, as if she doesn't already carry the virus. My little brother is also going to be home for these next 2 weeks, and it's especially frustrating for me because I've been trying to launch an editing business or a video editing service, but unfortunately so many video shoots and film shoots are getting canceled right now that I don't think I'm going to have anything to edit right now because of the fact that everything is just, it's just all a giant shitstorm right now. Like I said, I do think this will be taken care of within a few weeks, but who actually knows what'll happen? Because I sure as heck don't. So I mentioned I was mostly trying to keep this rail fanning related, and I did go off topic a bit. So I've mentioned, yes, a bunch of railroad museums have shut down. But I don't know, like I said, I know the Cuyahoga shut down, the Arkansas Railroad Museum shut down, which was probably lucky for them that they had already canceled their train show. And speaking of train shows, I was actually going to go to a train show today at the Cobb Galleria, but that's been canceled now too. Heck, actual movies are being pushed back because of the coronavirus. I remember just a bunch of movies right now have been pushed back because a bunch of theaters closed, especially in China, where the virus broke out, and especially for the action movie market, that's huge in China. So if they can't open in China, then that's gonna cause problems. That's the reason why the Transformers movies are doing so well. It's because they do well in China. They don't make any money here in the US. I keep going off topic. That mostly it's because there's not really that much news about the coronavirus as far as like the railroads are concerned. The only other piece of info I have right now is that Amtrak, I think, has canceled 300% of all its scheduled passenger trains. I think a bunch of flights have been canceled. Boat rides have probably been canceled. It's been mostly told to stay off cruise ships and planes, as that's where the virus is most likely to spread. However, it's probably best you stay off trains as well. As far as I know, I think the Durango and Silverton is still running. I think maybe the Durango and Silverton could get by this if they ran like only open air cars on their trains for a while. The Big Boy I know is out right now. I don't know where it's going, but it's out right now. But that might cause another problem, thinking about it, because the Big Boy is known to attract huge crowds, mostly because it's new. But I'm under the impression that, even this year, it's going to be all of its excursions and tours are going to be packed with rail fans. So I'm under the impression those are going to get canceled too. I haven't looked at that fully. I may look at it again at some point. I'm going to probably have a look on Instagram. In fact, why don't I do that right now? So I have Instagram pulled up right now. I'm going to switch to the Blue Smoke Productions account, which I highly recommend you follow. If you don't follow it, I'll leave a link to it in the description. And this is the official Blue Smoke Productions account. Looking at it. So, it looks like Steamtown may be open still right now. Or Steamtown National Historic Site. Obviously, Steamtown is owned by the National Park Service, so I think it will be... They're claiming they're keeping an eye on it, but I don't see anything about Steamtown being canceled or closed until further notice. Looks like the Illinois Railroad Museum's still open. They have their Shay out pulling a caboose special, so it does look like that's still open. I'm looking at other stuff. Looks like the Somerville city managers did officially decide to close the Somerville depot and exhibit. As a result, Somerville local train rides will not be operating on March 14th, today, at the time I'm recording this. They're going to have updates again on March 21st, but they are giving full refunds or rescheduling. So they've all got plans, no doubt about that. It does look like the Durango and Silverton is still running. I've already mentioned that. And it looks like... Yeah, it looks like they're running photo specials, so looks like they're using the open air trains and photo trains. So with $4.93. So it does look like that's gone on. The Age of Steam Roundhouse has postponed all its events until a later date. Yeah, so the long story short is that the Railroad Museum has officially... Most of the railroad museums are no longer operational for now. This is temporary. I don't think this virus is going to go on super long. I'm not going to go into myths or anything. If you want myths, you can look that up. And like everything else that is about the coronavirus. You can look everything like that up. This isn't going to be a super long podcast today because I do want to get this edited and uploaded as soon as possible. So I'm going to end today's podcast a little bit early. Comment down below what you'd like to see the next podcast be about. Well, I've got if I move this episode up to be episode 2, then it's very likely that I have 2 episodes after that. One's about railroad museums and one's about retired steam excursion stars. Those will be released after this podcast. Okay, so that is today's episode of the Blue Smoke Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm sorry if this episode was shorter, and I'm sorry if this episode was, a little bit negative, but that kind of happens right now. This is Blue Smoke Productions saying goodbye and thank you for listening.